Well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. My name is Julie Muse, and I'm honored to be able to share this information with you and to be partnering with the women that are going to be sharing their stories tonight. We are a part of a unique group called the Healthy Living Revolution, where together we are coming alongside of families and individuals and helping them to take their health back in ways that are simple, doable, and fun. And we really are privileged to be able to share this information with you. We're going to go into a little bit of education, share a solution, and then share some stories. So we have all gotten curious about health because we've learned that there are two startling trends that are happening in our world today. And the first is that our environmental toxins are increasing. So whether this is with the air that you're breathing, the food that you're eating, the products you're putting on your skin, the pharmaceuticals that you're taking, the water that you're drinking, our world is so much more toxic today than it was for our grandparents and for our grandparents' parents. And at the same time that our world is becoming more toxic, our food quality has severely decreased. And I really like this image because this gentleman is in the center aisles of the grocery store. And about 6 years ago, I made a big switch and I stopped looking at calories and fat and I started looking at the ingredients in my food. And I was shocked when I learned that I really wasn't eating a lot of food products. I was eating food-like products, many ingredients I couldn't even name. So they were full of preservatives, flavor enhancers, synthetic vitamins, artificial colors. And really our food should be what's helping to defend us against this increase in toxicity in our environment, but it's actually exacerbating the problem. So really a great goal is to aim for less than 5 ingredients in your food and all ingredients that you can pronounce. We really need to make a shift back towards more real food. So again, our food should be defending us and it's encouraging our toxicity level. So while both of these things are happening, it's causing some pretty scary statistics. This is Dr. David Katz, he's the head of prevention at Yale, and he said this may be the first generation of children to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. Ever since he made this quote, it's been proven true that if we do not make any changes, this will be the first generation of children to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. And this is really scary because in all of documented mankind, we have always lived longer. Each generation has always lived longer. And so having the most medical advances that we've ever had today, for something to be going on in our culture that is causing our children to have a shorter life expectancy, I feel like this should be on the news every single night. It's something we need to be talking about. And I believe that's not going to happen because we're all here on the call tonight. So I think we're noticing a little bit of this grassroots movement of people that are looking for better solutions. By age 12, many of our children have developed the beginning stages of hardening of the arteries. 1 in 3 children is obese, 1 in 3 will develop diabetes, and more than 25% of children take prescription drugs on a regular basis. This is Dr. Bill Sears. He's known as America's pediatrician, but he shares that really us as adults, we aren't doing much better. So 1 in 3 people live with some form of cardiovascular disease. 1 in 3 women will have cancer and 1 in 2 men will have cancer. I want to repeat that because again, it's something I think should be talked about more. 1 in 3 women will have cancer and 1 in 2 men will have cancer. I've been sharing this statistic now for 4 years, and I will tell you in the past year in my life, it's becoming more and more real, and it's a very scary, scary trend. 1 in 3 will have diabetes by 2050, and 1 in 3 is obese. But that's the end of all the depressing statistics. But we do need to take stock of where we are right now because it's alarming. And the truth is that 75% of all chronic disease is preventable. And that's really why we're on this call. There's no doubt there are some diseases out there we cannot do anything about in terms of making lifestyle changes. But the truth is that many Americans are dying of lifestyle-related diseases, and we need to make some changes. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So oxidative stress is linked to poor health. Well, what the heck is oxidative stress? So I'm going to try to explain this as best as I can, but it really is the aging of our cells. And no matter what we're doing, if we're breathing, we have oxidative stress. And sometimes we could be doing something good or doing something bad to increase this oxidative stress. So exercise increases it, being pregnant or nursing a baby or losing sleep increases your oxidative stress, along with smoking, drinking, and staying up too late. So good and bad behaviors can lead to the increase in oxidative stress. But no matter what, we're all dealing with it, and it is the aging of our cells. It's actually free radicals in our body that are hitting our cells and damaging our cells. And whenever we eat antioxidants, our best defense is antioxidants. They pair up with those free radicals that are damaging our cells, and they neutralize them. So they reduce that damage to our cells. So I want you to consider, kind of in layman's terms, if you cut open an apple and the flesh is exposed to oxygen, it begins to oxidize. You know, it'll kind of brown, age, mold, rust. But if you take an antioxidant, or if you take lemon juice and squeeze it over the flesh of the apple, you know that aging process is delayed. And that is the effect that antioxidants have in our body. And I think we know fruits and vegetables are good for us, but maybe we just don't know how good they are. So unfortunately, today's mass-produced produce packs a much less nutritional punch. So the first main reason for this is soil depletion. I'm not going to talk about that tonight, but if you're curious, you should Google it. It's definitely something we all need to be aware of. But the second main reason is that it's mass-produced. I can go up to the grocery store tonight and buy just about any fruit or vegetable that I'd like, but usually it's picked between 3 to 4 weeks before I will actually eat it. And the fruit or vegetable is the baby of that plant. It gets most of its nutrition within the last 24 to 48 hours of ripening on the vine. And I want you to, any moms on the call, I want you to think about, you know, your own baby. We all know the impact, you know, carrying a baby to term can have. They are meant to be connected to us until they're ready. And so just same with a fruit or vegetable. When we pick it, when we remove it from its source too early, it is very depleted in nutrition. And this image just basically explains it all. So this is the iron content that was present in a bowl of spinach in 1953. And in 1997, so over 20 years ago, you had to eat 43 bowls of spinach to get the same iron content that you could get in one bowl in 1953. And that's just iron. There's much more than iron in spinach. And so I really believe this image right here can help explain those statistics from those doctors, because I think we all mostly we try to do well, we try to eat well, but we're facing an uphill battle, that's for sure. Even if we're trying really hard, no one has too many fruits and vegetables in their diet. So, you know, in the 50s and 60s, we knew that we had a deficiency. And at the time, we thought there were 12 essential vitamins in plants that we needed. So we man-made synthetic, put it in a multivitamin. And as you very well know, we have not gotten any healthier over the past 50 to 60 years. So the multivitamin is not working. But what is some newer research is what is really present in plants. And they have discovered in the past 10 years that there are over 20,000 unique nutrients present in one apple. There's over 25,000 in one blueberry and over 14,000 in one avocado. But they haven't even named all of them yet. For example, they've named 400 ingredients and nutrients in an apple. And some people believe we're just scratching the surface. It would be like if Galileo said, okay, there are 300 stars in the sky. We probably will never know what's present in plants that makes them so powerful in our body. But what we do know is that we need the apple. We don't only need ingredient number 5 and ingredient number 2002 and ingredient number 8010. We need the whole thing. And those ingredients work synergistically in our body to either heal us or keep us well. So I have 2 great examples for this. One is that an apple only has 5.7 milligrams of vitamin C, but when you eat it, it's comparable to an isolated vitamin C tablet of 1,500 milligrams, because that's what your body does with that 5.7 milligrams of vitamin C. Also, lycopene is present in a tomato, and it's known to fight prostate cancer. But when lycopene is removed from the tomato, it has 0 effect on that cancer. And that's because that lycopene is working with all of those other thousands of ingredients that are present in that plant. So again, we don't have a vitamin deficiency, we have a whole food deficiency. And forever, it was 5 a day, 5 fruits and vegetables a day. Then the government increased it to 7 to 13. But that's if you have if everything's normal. If you're pregnant, if you're overweight, if you're an athlete, if you're fighting disease, you actually need closer to 16 to 18 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And there are some studies that are suggesting within the next 50 years, we will need 30 servings of fruits and vegetables to fight the increase in toxicity. So the truth is that more matters. We all need it. We all need more. Our kids need more. Our parents need more. And our bodies know exactly what to do with them. So we are passionate, those of us on the call tonight, because at some point in our journey, somebody introduced this incredibly unique, amazing product to us called Juice Plus. It is unique. It was developed over 30 years ago by a doctor. He was a holistic doctor that helped cancer patients juice. And his dad was diagnosed with lymphoma, and he was given 3 weeks to live. So Dr. Smokey Santillo decided that instead of juicing his fruit and vegetables, he was going to, of course, first allow them to ripen on the vine, pick them when they are ripe, and then the whole plant with the pits, the peel, the rinds, the seeds, even the leaves whenever possible. He was going to put that in like a massive Vitamix. He blended it up. It resulted in a slurry, and he took that slurry and he dehydrated it at a cold temperature to preserve the nutrients, and it resulted in a powder, what we like to call a powdered produce. And he just pumped his dad full of this powder, and his dad ended up living for 6 more years. And not only did he live, but he thrived. He had a great quality of life. And it was at that point that he knew that he was on to something. So this amazing product hit the market 25 years ago, which is very rare in this space. And there are some things that make it very unique. I'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want you to look at this color on the screen and just imagine if your body had, and your kids and your parents, everybody you love, had all of these different colors in their body every single day on a consistent basis. And all of these different colors do different things in your body. I'll talk to some people that are like, well, I eat a lot of fruit, so I just need the veggies. And that's really not the case. We all need more of all of the colors, a high quality of them, a variety of them. So this is what makes our products so unique. And the first is my favorite, and it's that this is just food. There is a nutrition label, not a vitamin or a supplement label. You cannot overdose. There is no warning label. If you can eat a salad, you can eat Juice Plus. When my kids were 6 months old, I opened up the capsules and I put it in their food. And by age 1.5, they're chewing up the capsules, even though we do have delicious chewables for children. So that makes sense to me. When I learned that about this product, it made sense, because when I used to take products that would say safe unless you're pregnant, nursing, or under the age of 12, that was confusing to me. So I love that this is just food, and it's full of that phytonutrition, all of those thousands of ingredients that were in that apple, not isolated vitamins. It's non-GMO, dairy-free, and gluten-free. It has an NSF certification, which is a third party that validates that what we say is in our product is, and nothing more. It's the highest level of certification you can receive. We've had it for over 20 years, but my favorite part is that they also ensure that it's free of any herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, yeast, mold, and bacteria. And that's better than the organic apple that I can buy at Schnucks, because even organic produce is not certified to be free of any herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides. So that gives me peace of mind, and especially when I'm giving it to my children. And then finally, when this product hit the market 25 years ago, people had unique experiences. You'll hear more about that soon. But they decided they wanted to see what it was doing in human beings with blood drawn. So today, we are the most researched nutritional product in the world. We're actually rivaling the most researched pharmaceutical in the world. We have 38 published studies in peer-reviewed medical journals, with 9 underway. We've been studied at Brigham Young, Yale, Vanderbilt, MD Anderson Cancer Center, some of the most prestigious facilities around the world, and published in some of the most prestigious journals. So I'm going to tell you my favorite research study, because I can't help myself. This was published in the journal, the American College of Cardiology, which is a very prestigious journal, and it was conducted at the University of Maryland. And it was the brainchild of a group of cardiologists, because they know that 50% of heart attacks happen 4 hours after eating a high-fat meal. So they took this group to a very popular fast food restaurant and fed them a pretty standard high-fat fast food breakfast. And then they waited 4 hours and measured the constriction in their brachial artery. And that's this gray bar right here. So you can see that everyone had about 40 to 50% constriction 4 hours after eating that meal. And it's crazy to think about that. You know, when we indulge and the holidays are coming up and we'll be indulging even more, your body is working almost 50% harder just to get your blood pumped throughout its body. That's crazy. But so then they took the group and divided them into 3. They had the placebo group. They had one group on our fruit and our veggie blend. And then the last group was on our fruits, veggies, and our berries. And they waited only 28 days. So 28 days later is this purple bar. And they fed them the same meal and then waited 4 hours and measured the constriction in their artery. And you can see that the placebo group, which had the least amount of constriction to begin with, they had a slight reduction. The group on our fruits and our veggies, they had over 60% reduction in constriction just 28 days later. And the group on all 3 with our fruits, veggies, and our berries, they had the highest to begin with. They had a reduction in constriction of 98%. They went from almost 50% constriction to less than 1%. And the reason why I love this study is because these people changed nothing else. They added 6 capsules full of plants into their diet every single day, and their body knew what to do with it. And so it proves what the government's been saying. More really does matter. And it's not about totally uphauling your lifestyle and being perfect. It's about making simple changes that your body can recognize and knows what to do with. I love that. So really quickly, I want you to consider that your body is like a car. And a car needs oil and gas to run well and hopefully a high quality of each. And our body's the same. It needs micronutrition and macronutrition. Micronutrition is like the oil. A lot of times we skip an oil change or we delay an oil change or we choose the least expensive oil. And that's what we've been doing to our bodies with our micronutrition. That micronutrition is those thousands of ingredients that are present in that apple. And a lot of us are ignoring or not getting enough micronutrition into our body. So similar to a car, if you delay an oil change, it'll keep going, but problems are brewing if you don't address the issue. So that's where our capsules come in. But the gas, which gives the car, gives the car the ability to go, for us is like the macronutrition, the proteins, fats, and the carbs. And in our country, we have an abundance of macronutrition, but very little of it is of high quality. And that's where our shakes come in. They are delicious. They come in chocolate and vanilla. They're called complete shakes. They are not a protein shake. They are food. Again, they have a nutrition label. They're low glycemic, so they stabilize your blood sugar. So the number one thing my friends tell me about these shakes is that they actually keep them full. And it's not because they have thousands of grams of protein. It's because they keep their blood sugar stable. It's vegan and non-GMO, gluten and dairy-free, full of plants. It has 24 plants in it, and powerful prebiotic fibers and oligosaccharides. These oligosaccharides help to heal the lining of your gut. And in a time when many people are dealing with leaky gut issues, that is really, really important. So this is our first meal of the day in my family, my kids, 2 and 4-year-olds, and my husband and I, we love them. They're just my easy fast food. And then finally, it's been a year now in October that we introduced our first capsule product in 14 years, and it's our Juice Plus Omega Blends. And we know that many of us have a deficiency in omegas, and that omegas support our heart, brain, joints, skin, and eyes. And most people, if they're bridging the gap, they're bridging the gap with a fish oil, which is not sustainable and also can increase or can lead to your toxicity. So we decided to skip the fish and go straight to the algae, which is where the fish get their omegas from. And we also decided to make it a full spectrum omega. So this is omega 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9. We believe God put them all on this earth for a reason, and we need all of them in a high quality. But what's really important is our encapsulation process. So our, I call these dreamsicles because they taste good to me. They taste like orange. The way these omegas are typically encapsulated is that they have to be heated up to a high temperature in order to encapsulate that oil, and that degrades the quality of the oil. In fact, many omegas are rancid. Many people are buying rancid oil tablets and taking them every day. And so it took years, but we developed this technology to cold press our omegas, and oh my goodness, I was annoyed when we launched these because I thought we had the perfect product, but you're going to hear in Kristin's story in just a little bit, these little dreamsicles are amazing. I'm so, so thankful for them. So finally, I'm going to wrap this part up with this wonderful quote from Dr. Richard Du Bois. He's been America's top doc multiple times, and he was one of the first of now thousands of healthcare professionals to recommend this product. And he said, there is nothing available anywhere else in the world with or without a prescription that has been clinically proven to do what Juice Plus does. And I think that pretty much sums it up. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask my friend Julie to unmute herself and just share her story about why she decided to add Juice Plus and the effects that it had for her.
All right, glad to. Well, I get so excited every time I hear you share that, and I think that I won't ever get tired of hearing it. So I have loved nutrition and learning about food and healing for a long, long time, really since I became a mom. And it became my mission to kind of my ministry to my family, if you will, to keep these guys well and to feed them well. And I've learned a lot in the last 16 years. And when I look back at pictures of some of the things that were on my table to begin with, I kind of shudder, but we all start somewhere. So we're all on a journey. And I was on a journey about 2 years ago when I met Julie Muse, and she was telling me about Juice Plus, and I was interested, but not really. And then I had a son who got sick, if you will, with asthma. And he was my 6th child. I had never dealt with asthma before, and ended up in the emergency room, and then in the hospital, and then in the pediatric intensive care unit over the course of 15 months. We were checked in there 4 different times. So when this was happening every 3 or 4 months, it was a big deal. It was serious. And he was pumped full of drugs every single time he was in there, turned into a different child, and life was really not the same for those 3 days and for the week after as the prednisone worked out of his system. So we finally got our diagnosis of asthma and went to the doctor, where they said, well, he'll have to do daily steroids. And in my research, what I was coming up with was not as pretty of a picture as what they were painting for me. I was coming up with daily steroids not really being a great thing for my son. And I was wanting to research really what was the root cause of this. And in my mind, I knew that steroids, although they may help, they were really just providing a crutch for him, and his body and his lungs were never going to get stronger. So what I was finding is that asthma was caused by inflammation. Meanwhile, Julie continues to share lovingly and persistently about Juice Plus. And it wasn't that I just kind of thought I knew, and I didn't think that anything that she was sharing that was from, a direct sales company really could be that good. But then she's like, well, what if I just got it for him for free? Because this company, which now I know is simply amazing, will sponsor children for free if an adult is taking it. And she had a friend who was willing to do so. So we started taking Juice Plus just over 1.5 years ago. And it has been over 1.5 years now since Elijah has had a serious asthma attack that has landed in the hospital. We haven't seen, I know, isn't that awesome? We have not seen the indoor of a hospital, maybe for stitches, but not for asthma. And in fact, just today, he is dealing with a cold, and every single time he got a cold before, we would, head into this asthma. And I would always just have fear in my heart, like, oh no, what's going to happen? And now it just doesn't. I just give him some extra Juice Plus, and we go on with our day. So I am so thrilled, and we've got our whole family now taking it. I had the best pregnancy at age 43 that I have had of my 8, which is something. I was not anemic for the first time in my life. And after 30 years of having hay fever, which is at least in Michigan, that's what we called it where I'm from, 30 years of having a seasonal allergy, this year I did not take one Zyrtec. And that's after 2 falls of being on Juice Plus. So I am just so excited that not only do I have Elijah's story, but I have some other things happening in my own life to share too.
Oh, I love that, Julie. Thank you so much for sharing. And many of our research studies point to the reduction in inflammation. So there's always research that is behind these amazing testimonials. And so it's really cool when we can see these, in person, because it makes us realize it's doing stuff whether we notice it or not. So at this point, I'm going to throw this to my friend Wendy and have her unmute herself and share her amazing story. Take it away, Wendy.
Can you hear me? Yes. Excellent. So my story begins 2 years ago, actually, when my son, 2 months before he turned 2, he got a common cold, probably his first cold. And about a month later, we're noticing he's swelling, he's having problems, we're running to the emergency room, and it landed us in the hospital for about 5 to 6 days. And it turned out that he had an autoimmune disease, which is called nephrotic syndrome. So his immune system is actually attacking his kidneys. It's similar to lupus, but lupus attacks many organs. And this was just specific. And what I found interesting was that it occurs in young children, usually at a year and a half to 2 years of age is when the first onset occurs. And they may or may not grow out of it, although a good percentage of them don't. And really the research, that's all they gave me. Immune system, attacks kidneys. And so what's a mom to do? I'm overwhelmed. We're leaving the hospital. I'm thankful for my son's life, but I'm actually quite helpless and hopeless and sad. So I have to go to what I know, and that's, I need to research. How do you take care of the immune system? What is it that he needs? What is it that I can give him? Of course, all roads pointed to food. And we did what we could for about a year and a half of up and down roller coaster rides. He gets sick, he gets a flare. He gets sick, he gets a flare. We're able to pull him back. But if you know anyone with autoimmune disease, or maybe you don't, you get sick, and you don't get sick for like a couple of days or maybe even a week. You get sick for 2 to 3 weeks. You get sick and then you catch something else, and it just snowballs constantly. You're in this sickness and you're not able to come out of it, which is kind of what happened to us in June. We had a sickness, and then we had exposure to the stomach flu, and it just took him down, and boom, there we were, right back in the hospital for another 5 days. And at this point, he's 3.5, he's older, he's fighting them. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? I don't want my son to be on dialysis. I don't want this life. What am I going to do? But thankfully, Julie Zilke had a month earlier pestered me, Wendy, you should really try this. You should try this. And after a year and a half, it didn't really take too long, maybe a week. And this is Peter. Come here, Peter. So it didn't take long for her to chase me down, because I had tried everything. I was making my own broth, my own elderberry syrup. I was doing everything to help him with his colds, but he was still catching them. Why? Because his immune system was so weak. What are we going to do? And so I've got this great friend, and she says, try Juice Plus. So we come back in July from Ohio. Hold on, sweetheart. And what happens, I commit to Juice Plus. I commit to him. He's going to get it. Sometimes he's going to get 2 a day. Just give him a couple of green vegetables. Because what do 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds eat? Do they sit down and eat 5 to 10 servings of vegetables a day? No. And especially kidney patients. They all they want is rice. And there's no benefit to that. It's actually quite a perplexing situation. So I said, we might as well try it. If it's food, which is all the label says is it's food, how can it hurt him? And I'm happy to report that 2 months later, so all of July, all of August, he is taking it faithfully. I am too. And the second week in September, he got a little cold. Now for an autoimmune disease person, little is like 3 weeks, right? And it comes with much more baggage. He was over it in 3 days. And his flare wasn't even a flare. It was like trace to negative. It was an amazing transformation. So I went from helpless, hopeless, to filled with hope. I can help him. And I feel so called to share this message that whatever you're dealing with, maybe you're not dealing with anything. Maybe you just have kids who don't want to eat vegetables. Or maybe you yourself, I just don't really want to eat vegetables. We should, but this can help. There's hope on the other side of this. And that's kind of my message, and that's my passion right now. And there is hope for people with autoimmune disease. And that's all I have.
Well, Wendy, I love that, because that falls into those 75% of chronic diseases is a lot of these autoimmune diseases. And whether it's our gut or, digestive issues or joint pain, it's affecting so many areas of our life. So thank you for sharing with such heart. Can you tell that Wendy was a performer, or still is a performer? It's pretty obvious. I love it. So thank you for sharing your story. We're so excited for you and Peter. And at this point, I'd love to throw it to my friend Kristin. I know we're running a little over, but her story is amazing. If you can hang on just a little bit and hear from Kristin, just hop right on and tell us about yourself, Kristin.
Sure. Yeah, those stories were awesome. I love hearing those. I will try to be quick. Mine is a little more personal. Before I was introduced to this community, I felt like I was pretty healthy, ate decently, and worked out sometimes. And if you were to look at me, you would think, yeah, she's very healthy. But the truth is, after I had my daughter, she is my second child, I started having some worsening health issues that I couldn't understand. They started to, it was almost like a weak spell type thing. It would happen maybe once or twice a week in the beginning. And then it started happening almost every day, where I would almost pass out in the middle of the day. I couldn't take care of my kids, couldn't understand what was going on with my body. It was really scary. I didn't want to go anywhere with my kids, because if I had one of these spells, what was I going to do? So I tried to battle it with food, with water, constantly eating and drinking, and nothing was helping. So a good friend of mine, Julie, introduced me to this product that was food. And so I said, I'm going to try it. I don't have anything to lose. And I started with the fruits, the veggies, and the berries. And within a month, I wasn't having any weak spells. And fast forward to today, which is almost a year and a half, I've not had any weak spells, which is incredible because I have 2 young kids and I'm running after them. And I know I don't eat, you know how we are with moms, you don't feed yourself what you should. You're just going. So I know my body wasn't getting the nutrients that it needed. And I am now fueling my body every single day with over 30 different kinds of fruits and vegetables that I wouldn't have eaten. And I know that's made the difference. And then quickly, so Julie mentioned, I was diagnosed with situational anxiety probably like 5-6 years ago. I'm not on medication for it. It comes in kind of waves. If anyone has experienced that, it probably makes sense. Sometimes an anxious day would turn into weeks and you just can't get yourself out of it. Well, when I started the trio, I was experiencing a little bit of improvement with my anxiety, and then I added the omegas to it. Wasn't expecting to see much except for maybe stronger nails and shinier hair. I would say maybe 3 months in, I started to realize I'm not really having my anxious spells. I'm not getting my anxious moments. And if I am, they're very brief and I can get out of them. And then fast forward to today, and I was sitting here thinking before the call, I can't remember the last time I've had an anxiety period, which is incredible. If you know anyone or you yourself suffer with anxiety, you know how like paralyzing that can be. And so to not have to worry about, oh my goodness, is this anxiety? Is this coming on? Am I going to be able to get out of it? To not have to worry about that has been incredible. And I know for a fact that all of these fruits and berries and the omegas, the plant-based omegas on top of that, are doing good things in my gut, and your gut is directly related to your brain. So I'm giving that probably about 85 to 90% proof. That's proof of why I'm not experiencing my anxiety anymore, and I'm so thrilled. My family gets it. We love the Children's Health Study, or the Healthy Starts, and I love that. Yeah, when we have another one, I can use it as my prenatal. And that baby, when it starts eating food, I can give it to that baby. So I just cannot say enough good things. And I am very thankful for this community that not only wants to help you with a solution, but educate you about, what you're going through and how to better deal with it. So I am just very thankful. Thanks for letting me share.
Oh my gosh, I love Kristin's story. And I can tell you, I mean, I looked at her, right? We've been friends for years. She did look so healthy and vibrant and full of life. I had no idea she was struggling so much. And I similarly had a great experience with omegas and anxiety. So sorry we ran late, but these stories are amazing. And at this point, we really ask you to do one of three things. The first is maybe you're just pumped up to eat better. And if that's where you're at, we totally support you. If you want to go to the store and get as many fruits and vegetables as you can, please do so. We hope you feel empowered to make better choices after this information. Number two, maybe Juice Plus is making sense to you and you want to learn more about it. So if so, reach out to the person who invited you. It's around $2 to $3 a day. Children can get it for free, as Kristin and Julie mentioned. So ask the person who invited you so they can help you kind of get started. And then third, if you thought of anyone who you wish heard this message or heard some of these stories, please let the person know who invited you. We are on a mission to inspire healthy living around the world, and mostly we want to get this message out to as many people as we can. So if you feel encouraged to share this with others, please let that person know, and it is recorded, so that's awesome, and we host these regularly. So at this point, I'm going to unmute you all and stop the recording.